Right now there's a genuine desire for retro cameras, for cameras with vintage designs and aesthetics, for cameras with fun color filters and old looks, for cameras with limitations, for cameras that look and feel old. And I totally get it. I've been making videos about cameras like this for over a year now and I absolutely love them. Those cameras give creatives like myself fun new aesthetics to experiment with, and they let you document your memories without having to worry about making it perfect. You don't need to worry about the perfect composition, about the perfect camera settings, about the perfect post-production, or about small little imperfections in your looks. The peak of what those cameras are capable of isn't too high anyways, so there's no need to worry about small little imperfections you are including in your footage or pictures. And that's why I will be using this little Digicam from the year of 2011 to document my trip here to Croatia. Have fun, guys! You guys might know that I always try to stay positive here on this channel because I don't really have any room to judge anybody. I mean, I go out and I blow my money on stuff like this, so any product you want to buy is a great product, a great investment and a great idea. But in my time here on retro camera and social media, there's always been one thing that I never liked, which is these new retro cameras. Whenever I'm on Instagram, I keep on seeing these posts by companies bragging about their ability to make cameras that suck. What a flex. Look at this image quality, look how bad it is, look how low the resolution is, look how noisy it is, look how bad it looks. Pay me for it. And people love it, I guess. Now, I don't have anything against bad image quality, but I think there's a better way to get there. And to talk more about this, let's go back to beautiful Croatia. By the way, if you want to see more of that location, I've already uploaded my full kind of vlog about this trip, how I got there, some of the best photos I've ever taken. Really, I think one of my favorite videos that I've ever made, so if you want to see more of that, you can check that video out after this one. So on this trip here to Croatia, I've been working with the Olympus VR 320, which is quickly shaping up to be my favorite Digicam out of the ones I own. Maybe I shouldn't be filming this while I'm climbing. Yeah, so here on this trip to Croatia, I've been shooting on the Olympus VR 320, which is really just my favorite Digicams out of the ones I own, mainly just because of the look. You know, the Sony, the pictures are very desaturated, and then there's other cameras like the Praktica, kind of where it almost looks kind of over-processed or just artificial in a way. This one strikes a nice balance between having nice saturation and contrast, but also still looking very natural. And really just the JPEG shot of this camera, no editing, nothing. Not that you could edit those pictures like an awful lot, but it's not necessary because they already look nice. And I've really been enjoying using these cameras to just document some memories here on this trip, just to take some quick snapshots if I see some nice shadow or some nice light somewhere. I've been shooting videos, I've been shooting pictures, and everything has been great, you know, even especially with the pictures, just kind of knowing that I'm shooting film where I'm going to need to worry about sending my film to the lab, getting it scanned, paying for all of that, and that's a whole thing. My digital photography here with the Sony, where I have to worry about kind of editing the raw files afterwards. This one, there is no sort of worry like that at all. I'm just taking the pictures and that's just how they are. No post-processing, that's just how the pictures look, and it's kind of great. It's kind of great to have a camera like this that's just kind of limited because it's just kind of freeing. You don't need to worry about making your pictures perfect. doing any post-processing, making sure your compositions are perfect. Not that I even could with the screen. I can barely see anything. But yeah, it's just freeing in a way, and I think that's the reason why many people look towards cameras like this, or this kind of like fake retro cameras. Because they do give you this kind of freeing experience. Yeah, I don't have too many complaints about this camera. Really, the only negatives are there is a scratch on the lens, which luckily doesn't seem to affect the image quality in any way, so I guess that doesn't matter. And there is some visible color fringing around high contrast areas, like when photographing the leaves of a tree, which doesn't look too pretty, but for a camera that is this old, really pretty impressive. I don't want to spend too much time in this video talking about this camera specifically, because I already have featured it in my original Digicam video. But one fun story from shooting that video. When I shot that video and I took the first picture on this camera in years, after it just spent years sitting in a wardrobe somewhere, I heard this shutter sound. That's a programmable shutter sound here on this camera, because this camera doesn't actually have much of a shutter sound. So you can program it to make that noise. And this noise threw me back so far, because I can't remember any specific instances when my family used that camera when I was a kid, because I was just too young and I don't really remember it anymore. But hearing that sound instantly threw me back to like the feeling of what I felt like hearing that sound on a family vacation or something of that sort when I was a kid. Really truly a very nostalgic experience for me, and I really enjoyed that. But that's not what nostalgia is about anymore. Nostalgia isn't a feeling or a remembering of past times. Nostalgia is a lifestyle, an aesthetic, one you can be a part of when you buy a product. All of this represents an opportunity for businesses, an opportunity to sell bad camera sensors with bad lenses that nobody would want to buy otherwise, housed in cheap plastic bodies. If you can dropship all of that from Alibaba or something like that, that's even better. I mean, we're talking about ancient technology here. If you want a camera with that early 2000s, 2010s type of look, that's what, like 250 years ago now? We just simply have lost that technology. There's no way for us to experience it nowadays without companies trying their best to copy that experience in modern camera bodies. Oh wait, no, many of these cameras still exist, are still around, still work, and you may even find them for free. Sadly, this one doesn't work. I'm pretty mad about that. You can get unlucky sometimes. I grabbed this from my grandpa. Really hoped it would work, because it has this optical viewfinder, would have been really cool. And it does still turn on. But you can't take any pictures with it anymore. Let me show you how the screen looks. Can you see that? That's what the sensor sees now, which is pretty sad. I think shooting that camera would have been pretty cool. It does still shoot, but you can't see anything other pictures. Well, anyways, I still have all of these cameras, which I got for completely free, because my family members just had them sitting around. They all moved on to using smartphones for their photography and videography, so all of these cameras were just sitting around not being used. So I just picked them up, and now I'm using them, which is better than buying a new product, right? And to get to some of those benefits of grabbing cameras like this, let's throw it back to Croatia. Some heavy clouds rolling in back there, so I think it's about time I wrap this shoot up. A little look behind the scenes, by the way. Somewhere up here, this part of the screen, you should be able to see a small little town on top of the hill. Little fourth wall break here, but that's the place where I'm gonna be filming a film photography video later this week. So yeah, that's the location where I'm gonna go. Just a little teaser there, I guess. Hope it's going to be cool. Well, so what are the benefits of using a camera like this over a new retro camera? For one, you're getting an authentic nostalgic experience, because these cameras were actually around during the times you're trying to feel nostalgic for, during the times you consider retro times. Kind of like the story I told earlier about hearing that shutter noise and really being thrown back to that time. If you even can find one of those cameras that used to be in the possession of your family or of you yourself in the past, and you can dig one of those cameras back out and get them to work again, I mean, that's there's double the nostalgia, right? So that's just really cool. And it may also be cheaper, if not even free, because I mean, those cameras were still a pretty significant investment. And even if you get a better camera or you start shooting photography on a smartphone and you don't use any dedicated cameras at all, you're not just going to throw those things away. I mean, you might sell them or give them to somebody, but if your family is like mine in any way, then those things are sitting somewhere, because you don't throw something like this away if you don't use it anymore. So I think it's totally worth going around your family and asking if maybe anybody still has one of those cameras they haven't used in years, and seeing if you can find any free cameras to use. That's a lot better than buying something, right? And this last point is really going to depend on which camera we were talking about, because those cameras, of course, still were more like a budget-friendly product, a consumer product, not the most professional digital camera you could have bought, not the most expensive digital camera you could have bought in 2011. But I still do think that there are some cameras out there, and I would consider this one of them, that are quite well built, that will give you a very nice and kind of like somewhat premium shooting experience, where you can actually see that this is like a genuine product. And especially compared to some of those like plasticky dropshipping products I see advertised on my Instagram feed, I'm sure this is a lot better. I'm not buying one of those things to compare them. Of course, that's not like, I'm not generalizing all of those new retro camera brands, because of course I can't do that. I don't know all of those brands, and I haven't used any of those products, and I won't. But I mean, again, I'm not going to tell you what to buy, but if I may make a suggestion, if you have felt like you want one of those like retro cameras, if that's an experience you're looking for, I totally understand, and I'm right here to support you, right? But maybe before you make any impulse purchase, look around if you can find one of those things. I think it's totally worth it. And well, I wish you good luck. Thank you for watching this video. If you like this video, then subscribe to the channel, like the video, all of that stuff. And we're reaching the outro part of the video, so up here I have made an entire playlist about pretty much this exact topic, so feel free to check that out. And here's just another video about this topic that I think you may like if you like this one. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video up here. Goodbye.